Welcome to Section 2, running our first C++ application in the browser. In this section, we'll have 5 videos. First, we'll set up your toolchain. Then, we'll run our first C++ application on the web. We'll then look at the C++ compiler that generates WebAssembly and dig into its options. We'll then learn how to call C++ functions from JavaScript. And finally, we'll use a tool called mbind to pass complex data between our JavaScript and C++. Let's go get started. First things first, we need to set up your toolchain before we can go any further. The tool used to compile C++ to WebAssembly is called Emscripten. Let's take a look at the documentation. Emscripten has fantastic documentation. If you're familiar with GCC or Clang, Emscripten will feel right at home with you. We'll begin with the Getting Started portion. This covers download, installation, and a pretty fantastic tutorial. Now, I'm not going to make you read this in this section, but if you have questions throughout this course about Emscripten, please go look at the Emscripten documentation on the web. For now, let's go install it ourselves and see what we run into. To install Emscripten, we need to clone from a Git repo from the Emscripten project. After cloning, we go into the emsdk folder and we run emsdk install latest. This will fetch the latest Emscripten SDK from the web, pull it down, and install it on your computer. This takes about a minute, so let's cut ahead and see what that looks like. Alright, that's done. Now we're going to activate that latest version. What activate will do is set up configuration files and environment variables. Now, this doesn't mean that it's added to your path. To add Emscripten to your path, you need to run a shell script and source that. So we're going to do that. We will source emsdk_env.sh, and this will bring the Emscripten toolchain into our path so that we can use it. To test that out, we are going to write emcc-v. And if your environment is set up, you should see output very similar to this. You can also run emcc-version to get the version of the Emscripten toolchain. Now, we're going to take a HelloWorld example that came with the course and compile it. This is how we'll know if our toolchain is set up correctly. On the screen, you see the Emscripten compile command. emcc is the compiler. HelloWorld.cpp is the file I'm compiling. -o test.html. I want my output to be an HTML file after the build. I pass an emrun flag as well. This is to help link the input and output of the WebAssembly to the terminal through a tool called emrun. So let's hit enter and see what happens. The first time you run this command, you'll see a lot of output. This is because it is caching libraries for future use. Future compiles will be much faster than this. The first compile takes a little bit of time though, so let's skip forward a little bit and see the final result. Alright, we've compiled. Now we're going to emrun test.html. This is a page generated by Emscripten when you pass an HTML file name as an output. And it will output whatever you're outputting in your C++ program. Our C++ program was using standard.cout to print out Hello World, and voila, we now see it in the web browser. If you have your environment set up correctly, you should be able to compile the file yourself and run it through emrun and see this exact same output. Make sure you can do that before moving on. Now, throughout the course, I will be hand typing all of the emcc and emrun commands, but for your convenience, I've also added something that should make your life a little easier. For each example throughout this course, I've provided a makefile and a Docker file for you. The makefile will allow you to make build and make run, so you don't have to remember the emcc or emrun commands each time. However, if you don't want to have Emscripten installed on your machine, a Docker file is provided, which will build a Docker environment that has all of the Emscripten toolchain already configured and installed inside of it. That way, using Docker, you don't have to mess with any of your own system settings. Let's go see how those are used. In my directory, I have a Docker file, a make file, and my CPP file. I'm going to execute make build, and this builds using the emcc command. I can then make run to see my HelloWorld program. I can also pass docker equals 1 to the make build, and the build happens in Docker, and something very similar for the make run command as well. However, that spins up a Python 3 web server, which you then must navigate to. Once you've navigated to it, you'll see the same exact Emscripten page as if you built it on your system.